Welcome to relative silence. And I do mean relative silence because this, the 2018 Renault Zoe Dynamic Nav, is pretty quiet on the go. So all new for the 2018 Zoe is a much better range. Now, in the new testing cycle, they say that this can achieve roughly 250 miles, but realistically they are saying that, general summer driving, you'll get 185. That's pretty doable. And in the winter, you're more likely to see 125 because the batteries are colder, they're not going to perform as well. Now, the Zoe comes in 3 trim levels. This is the middle of the road, this is the dynamic, but the highest one is the signature nav. Now, this one, middle of the road, with some options which are metallic paint, the Bose sound system and interior purple touches, puts this on the road at 19,770. But bearing in mind, you can get a Zoe, a bottom spec one, will be that for £199 a month, and then you've got to add in your battery rental, which is roughly £57 a month. If you don't do a bundle of miles, this is a seriously cheap car to run. But if you do a lot of miles, fear not, because as standard it comes with a 3-year, 100,000 mile warranty. So you've got your electric car, and that's great. You can see that behind me. But when it comes to everyday life, it's normally okay. 1 or 2 people, your range isn't going to change. But how's it going to change when you put loads of stuff in the back of it? And how is it going to take all of that stuff? So here's step 1 of that. By putting as much in as I can now, because it hasn't got a fuel tank, the boot is considerably deeper than it would be if it had to have it in there. So it is going to fit more, but there's no way the base is going in the boot. So that is definitely going on the rear seats. Let's go. So it all fits in, a little bit of kerfuffle getting this cabinet in, but the rest of it goes in quite easily. The real question then is, how's it going to do with that extra weight in the back? Surprisingly, when you've got that Bose upgrade sound system, you then have to deal with less actual boot space. Starting with the outside, really, it's a Clio which has had a bit of plastic surgery. It does look a little bit space futuristic, but it's not a bad looking car, though that does really depend on the spec you get. But generally the sweeping lines look good. It's not an ugly car, but it is a bit of a Marmite in that you're either going to love it or you are going to absolutely hate it. Now, this dynamic comes with diamond cut alloys as a standard for it. Now, diamond cut alloys I always find a little bit of a funny one on new cars because, well, sometimes they're made of butter and they damage easily, but these have a good amount of tyre tread on them, so you don't have to worry about them getting damaged. And equally, visibility is great all round, so you're completely aware of the curb, so you're never going to catch them on there, and this takes potholes really well. The next task is an easy one, basically. Drive there and don't use loads of range. So I've got 162 mile range now, and I'll let you know how far I've driven and how much I've used when I get there. But the main consideration is I'm driving this in eco mode, and in eco mode you're limited to 60 miles an hour. It won't go above that, and when it comes to acceleration it won't let you go outside of the green bars unless you put your foot flat down. So within reason, as long as I'm not silly, I should get pretty exact to what it says, because I'm already noticing that this car is very good at going above what it should get. I've arrived with 121 miles and I went 31-ish miles, so really I should have had 131 left. So I'm 10 miles off where I need to be, but that's where I'm kind of discovering this doesn't really like the motorway, because around town you will see its range and it will get it quite easily, but on the motorway it's just not so good at getting it, because I guess driving at 60 miles an hour is considerably harder than driving at 30-40 miles an hour aerodynamically. Moving inside, sadly that's where I feel the Zoe could do with a little bit of an upgrade. It's a little bit dated. See, the interior hasn't really been updated since launch. While new features have been added and the range is now a lot better than it was, the inside I feel is the next thing to get updated. Now, that's not to say that the interior is a bad place to be. It's relatively comfortable, it's quiet, Everything's easy to use, and with dynamic you get keyless entry, keyless start, and when you walk away you don't even have to press any buttons, it just locks itself. But this is more of a city car, because on a longer journey you'll find your back hurting a bit more. The seats don't have lumbar support, and you could just do with a few more amenities, especially for your passengers. However, the sound system boasts an upgrade, is a fantastic sounding system. Everything is very straightforward inside, and the only thing that really caught my attention was, for an electric car, it's ironic that all the windows aren't automatic, because it's a very cheap attenuator to make that happen. But to make an electric car, Renault of course do have to make some savings here or there to make it financially viable for the general buyer. But the Zoe has done superbly well, and year on year it wins award on award on award for best electric car, best of everything really. It's doing superbly well. When you talk range, and Renault say that it can very feasibly reach 185 miles around town, that is actually totally doable. If you're not stuck in heavy traffic, your general day-to-day, you are going to reach that 185 miles and maybe more. On a run, well, driving at 60 uses more energy than it does driving at 30. You're not going to see 185 miles. I saw the range drop by a third less than it says it can get, which isn't bad. You just need to take it into consideration when you're on a run. In the winter, well, I can't pass any comment on that. They say 125 miles is achievable, but they haven't lied to you about the 185, so the 125 is probably very achievable. Performance-wise, well, it's 11.9 to 62, and it has a top speed of about 85-86 miles an hour. So it's not quick, but you do have 107 brake horsepower, and you also have 225 newton meters of torque. Now, not a huge number, but bear in mind that it's instant torque. Electric cars give you that 100% as soon as you touch the throttle. So it means when you want to go, you can go. For me, charging at home is an impracticality, an impossibility, because I don't own a EV, I don't have a charging point installed in my house. Equally, it's not really safe to charge one off the extension mill, even though it's only charging about 4 kilowatts. So your next best bet is you either have Ecotricity near you if you're lucky, or you have a rapid charge point near you and you have rapid charge fitted on the car. Otherwise, you're going to be heading up to 7 kilowatt hour charging, which isn't massively fast, but today's Sunday. You dump the car there for 2.5 hours while you do some shopping, get some lunch, do whatever. You come back and you've gone from what I can see 70 miles. I am going to have to knock even more range off that to get there. I'm going to have more when I'm done, at least. So when it comes to charging, the first thing you are going to want to do is find yourself one of these, which is electric charging points. It's a pod point. Get your key, press that, that opens. Once this is open, you can finally see where you need to plug in. Then next, you want to take one end. I'm not really sure which end goes in which, so I'm just going to test and see. So that is the correct end for there, and the car likes to keep locking itself. So thanks to the keyless entry, I'm now going to force and manually unlock it. Finally, I'm going to take this end, pop this into the charger here, and we're almost done. Once you've plugged in, you're ready to go, you need to select where you are. So you go on the PodPoint app, you choose what charging stations you are on. They come up and I look and I say, okay, this is Ella and Gary. I'm going to press Ella and Gary, and I'm going to press B because that's the one I'm plugged into. I confirm the charge, and that's it. It's now not going to cut off. This is an entirely free one. However, some pod points you do have to pay for. Handling wise, Zoe is suitable. It's an electric car, it's heavy, but it does a very good job at getting you around. But do bear in mind, this is an eco car. It is not a sports car, but you can have a bit of fun all the same. My summary is simple. It's a perfect car depending on your lifestyle. If you do heavy miles, then as with any electric car, you have to consider it, but it's a superbly cheap and efficient electric car that gets the range it says it can, even with all your interior amenities on, including things like air conditioning. It really doesn't zap the range very far, unlike something like a Nissan Leaf. When you put the cruise control on, the range is immediately diminished because this deals with it in a different way. It uses a different system. And generally I found, I mean, you're looking at this for £19,000, £20,000 on the road. It's a superb amount of value for money. You get a lot of car for it, you get a lot of boot space, interior comfort's great all around for your passengers, either in the front or the back. There's a good amount of space for everyone. And it really is quite a viable around town car. I'm not saying you can't use it on a run, it's just that you need to take into consideration that the range isn't as it should be, as in it's not going to get what it says. But around town, it's superb. There's more than enough nip to get out at any junction because you can get to 30 miles an hour faster than most cars. So as electric cars go around town, Renault have absolutely nailed it. I just feel the interior could do with a bit of a spruce up. Otherwise, the exterior is still great looking. And generally, it's a great value car.